Welcome to ChildrenPlus Connects, sir. So happy to have you with us.
Thank you.
Mr. Sharma, I would like to start by saying I stay in Noida, so I've noticed your school. And you have such a diverse executive committee, and I think thoughts from some very experienced people from across occupations, experiences have come together in building this school. So could you talk a little bit about this and how you got these different fields and what's the thought behind that?
The idea of Genesis Global School is because it was one of the largest projects of its kind on a 30-acre land and with 18, 19 sports disciplines. The idea is that when a child comes to school, should be able to find something of interest. Once a child excels in it, may be anything. It may be painting, music, a particular sport, a discipline in academics. Once a child excels in something, then that confidence transforms his life, and it affects his well-being, affects his growth. So that was the reason to find something of interest to everyone.
So the foundation of the school was built primarily to say that the child needs to figure out what his or her liking is. So you've given maximum options possible. That's the idea?
Absolutely. And thought was that a child will travel, starts at 6 a.m. from their home. Most of the buses pick up children at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. And that time, mother or whoever is at home, just put some sandwich or something which is easily available. So we said, no, we want to start the school with fresh, sumptuous, balanced breakfast and also provide fruit and then provide sumptuous lunch, and nutritionists were consulted what is required. So we were looking at providing absolutely holistic development, not in terms of only disciplines and sports and activities, but also in terms of growth, body growth.
That's very interesting. So from education to extracurricular to also nutritional growth is important with the school.
Yes.
So I also noticed something called the parent-child program, which is run in the school, and I was pretty intrigued by what this really means. I've been a parent. I'm also a parent, so I was wondering what is this program, and why would parents need to enroll in this? Or
this is children below 2.5 years, because we do not take children before 3 years in any classroom. So this is a program specially tailor-made for parents who have small children, and they want to bring the child in. For the children have social activities together. They do some music, they do some painting, and in fact, I have attended myself as a parent, as a grandparent, with my 2.5-year-old grandson. 3 days back, I was attending this program for 2 hours, escorting my child, and it was great fun because children have limited attention span, so they run around, and the parent is expected to bring the child back and help the child in different activities. So doing together, it's fantastic time.
I think it's a great way for the school to also tell the parents how to empathize with the teachers, because they would be running around the children otherwise.
Oh, a good one. Yes.
So how would you classify, if I don't want to use the term mental health exactly, because or maybe I'm wrong, but I see happy children running around, playing around. But is that the right place to identify if a child has a certain challenge? And have you seen a difference between, because you've got about more than 52 years of experience in schools. So would you want to comment on that?
You see, today I hear much more about mental health, and I fully understand what the country has gone through after 2020. The COVID times, there is hardly anybody who hasn't lost a dear or dear one. So this kind of times we have not seen in our lifetimes. So
Completely
this is,
unprecedented.
yes. And so the children were taken off. They were not allowed to go to school. And as a principal, I used to say that do not increase the screen time, because the radiations affect the mind. And suddenly COVID happens, and the same principals were saying, yes, yes, have a screen, because it has to be online and hybrid training.
Mode.
So the world changed, and because of the circumstances, we had to go through that. And since children could not socialize and could not interact, obviously there will be issues of mental health, issues of not being able to socialize, too much screen time, and then social media, and children wanting the likes and not getting as many likes and feeling depressed. So even adults, it's happening to adults, not only to to children. And the other day I was in a classroom, and I asked, this was I think class 5, 6, and I asked them, how many of you are on Facebook? So quite a few children were on Facebook, not realizing that under 16, you're not allowed to register on Facebook.
Right.
So all this has happened mostly because of these troubled times that we are in.
So pressure of getting enough likes. But interestingly, I think the 2 points that you highlighted are that children are not able to socialize. That's one big problem and cause for any mental health disorders if they may develop. The other is too much screen time. That means they're spending too much time isolated all by themselves on a screen. So
My advice to parents is that they must ensure that there is a limited time available and agreed time for screen. The the mobile phone and the laptop should never be in the bedroom. It should be in the living space, which can be monitored. Everybody knows what you're doing. It should not be private, because there are so many adults trying to exploit these children. So the parents must ensure that. And today, the child is not even understanding that no is also an answer.
mm,
Children don't expect no. They try to find maneuver and emotional blackmail, but parents need to be strong on this and need to be very clear. Yes, we will provide you everything, but within the framework.
so with your experience of over 50 years across schools like Mayo and now Genesis, how different are residential schools like those boarding schools that we've seen and something like Genesis?
You see, lots of people feel that today there are good schools in every metropolitan town. So what is the relevance of a residential school? But the thing is same, that today most of the parents are struggling with the screen time, whether they are being able to move the children away from the screen time. But then this just small example, that once you've decided on a residential school, this problem is over, because the child will not get screen at all.
Okay.
And all the physical activities would be taken care of, and all these mental health issues, etc., because they have experience of children, and children living together 24 hours. I don't, I am next to my bed, there is a guy whose face I don't like, but we have to get along with each other. We find something very irritating from another colleague, but we learn to get along together. We learn to be together, work together, and I think that's a great experience. I think today residential schools are more relevant than they were yesterday.
So, taking that thought forward about children socializing and being with other people, what about children who have special needs? A lot of schools today say that they're all inclusive. In fact, I met a school whose foundation is based on inclusivity. Uh, is inclusivity taken up in spirit? Is that happening, and does it really help the child?
You see, uh, there is a lot being said about inclusivity. I'm not sure how many schools are being able to actually practice this. Uh, in Genesis, we are being able to do it because uh, there is an adjoining property called Mata Bhagwanti Chadha Niketan, which is an exclusive school, which is one of the most important schools for exclusive education for those having severe disabilities, and so they are provided education. Since we have this background, so we have a large setup of SEN classrooms and about 8 to 10 special educators. In the beginning or even today, I think the problem is that there are certain learning disabilities which teachers notice. But for these learning disabilities, a good practitioner or good hospital has to identify and certify so that those relaxations can be made available. But parents presume that a learning disability like dyslexia, for example, which is such a common thing and it can easily be corrected if found at the
Early
right
on.
time. But parents are in so much denial. They think if we announce it, it is some kind of a mental disability, and the child would feel, that I am not as good as others. So they do not want to get the child tested. They must do the testing. NIMHANS has a good facility for testing, and based on that, then the schools can provide the support. Support at the right time is most important, and one can, overcome it within no time if provided.
So reaching out and taking action at the right time is
Yes.
very important, and
Yes.
one should recognize this and not let this problem fester for long.
Correct. We have our experience is that the number of children who come with disability for admission are much less than we find that among our children who came in without knowing that they have a learning disability, actually they have. So I think schools should be aware, and is no shame in saying that uh, there is a learning disability.
So you mentioned about this other establishment, which is an all-inclusive school,
Yes.
or it's primarily for special needs
Yes.
children. So what kind of an arrangement do you have? I mean, are the children put in the same classroom, they study together, or how does it work?
That exclusive school is separate. That is for below poverty line children, and that's a CSR activity. Children are picked up from home and provided food and everything and books, and no money is charged there. So that is a separate activity which is for exclusive children. In our school, once we identify a child, that child receives training by special educators and is taken out sometime from the classroom. Some classes the child would be made to attend with the rest of the children. For some classes, the child would be taken out, provided support, and put back into the classroom. So this is the normal thing that happens.
The child will eventually go back home, and a lot of interventions or support that you would have provided in the school need to be carried forward and taken at the home level also.
Yes, so the parent would also, there would be frequent parent teachers meeting, and parent would be called in, and the special education cell would explain what is expected at home and most of what they are doing. So it is a journey together with the parent and the school.
Okay. So it's a journey together with the parents.
Yes.
Thank you for all these insights, sir. My final question to you is, I've noticed a very elaborate setup of sports facilities, the 50-meter pool, amongst the others, horse riding. How do all these play a role in better mental health of a child?
You see, 50-meter pool you mentioned. It is only because when a child goes to national level, uh, they don't have 25-meter pool, they have 50-meter pool. And if you practice on 25-meter pool, you're turning, so many times in 100 meters. So we have provided every sports with national specifications. When they go for national tournament, the surface that they will get, they must be having practice on the same kind of surface. So that is the reason. There are certain other things that the schools must practice. We close the school for 5 days and send everybody into the hills. So there is adventure activity and trekking, especially when you see a place, your destination far away, and you're not sure how you will reach, and you get tired and exhausted, or a marathon when you're running, you're not sure whether you'll be able to complete it. That is when you challenge yourself. So that is also, strengthening your willpower, testing your body, how you instruct your body
Pushing
to
your
carry it,
boundaries and
pushing the
achieving your
boundaries.
limits.
And so all that contributes to mental health. And each class here is allotted a particular NGO. So they go and work with kids, which are kids with cancer. They go in old age homes and they work with the old age home. They go with in disabilities sections. Lots of NGOs are supporting disabilities. So they get to see all this. They go to the government schools. I can give you an example. They went to a government school, and then they came back from there and said, we found that the children were sitting on chatais, those bamboo mats, and the insects were crawling, the ants were crawling all around. It was very unhygienic. The ants. So the child is explaining. So we picked up all those chatais and dumped outside the school at a place. I said, okay, very good. Then we sprinkled water and swept the
The
place.
place.
So I said, now what? He said, we have come to you so that before the children come next morning, we can put fresh chatais. I said, where's the money coming from? So they said, you remember we did that particular activity and we saved the money, so that we already have the money. You just have to support. So if children develop this kind of empathy, this kind of compassion, I think what else is there to teach? As far as school is concerned, our job is over. And this strengthens mental health.
Thank you so much, sir. So on that note, the mental health starts with mental strength. That's the key takeaway from Mr. Sharma today. And thank you so much for this session.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.